So the question that you're all asking yourselves right now is why? Why are Black women dying? We asked ourselves that same question. Why is what's out there not working for them? Private weight loss companies, government interventions, public health campaigns. I'm going to tell you why. Because they focus on weight loss or looking good in skinny jeans without acknowledging the trauma that Black women hold in our bellies and bones that has been embedded in our very DNA. The best advice from hospitals and doctors, the best medications from pharmaceutical companies to treat the congested heart failure of my grandmother didn't work because they didn't acknowledge the systemic racism that she had dealt with since birth. A divestment in schools, discriminatory housing practices, predatory lending, a crack cocaine epidemic, mass incarceration, putting more Black bodies behind bars than were owned at the height of slavery, but Girl Trek does.
Mass incarceration falls on the shoulders of the Black woman, period.
Yeah. You gotta have some broad shoulders to bear that, though. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, it's the grandmothers that are taking care of these children.
That's a lot of responsibility on the Black woman.
A lot of responsibility, and she's juggling it. You talking about the Black woman being shackled, women shackled during incarceration when they give birth. Wow. You talking about individuals who 70% of the time when they are incarcerated are the sole caregiver of the children, living in the household, living with that baby, period.
Right. You
holding that down. You talking about the women that are putting commissary and money in individuals' prison commissary 20, 30 different years in a row.
Yeah, heartbroken because she had to not only see her man incarcerated, but now she sees her child incarcerated because he followed in the footsteps.
And now she's incarcerated, but she's just out, so nobody's paying attention to her.
Right.
When the man gets incarcerated, the full family is incarcerated. When the woman is incarcerated, the community is incarcerated. When the family is incarcerated, the world is incarcerated.
Viola Davis, Nene Leakes, and Mara Brock-Ikil talked about systemic racism when it comes to Black women not being paid what they are worth in comparison to their Caucasian peers.
We won't talk about gender inequality of pay because a lot of the women who've stepped forward, and I stand in solidarity with them, okay? What they're getting paid, which is half of what a man is getting paid, well, we get probably a tenth of what a Caucasian woman gets. And I'm number one on the call sheet. And then I have to go in and I have to hustle for my worth. That's what I feel like I'm doing when I demand what I feel. Listen, I have more than a 30-year professional career. I had a friend who said, yeah, but Viola, your career is better than my career. I said, yeah, but you can't compare me to you. Because once again, I got the Oscar, I got the Emmy, I got the 2 Tonys. I've done Broadway, I've done off-Broadway, I've done TV, I've done film, I've done all of it. I have a career that's probably comparable to Meryl Streep, Julianne Moore, Sigourney Weaver. They all came out of Yale. They came out of Juilliard. They came out of NYU. They had the same path as me. And yet, I am nowhere near them. Not as far as money, not as far as job opportunities, nowhere close to it.
What I want from Bravo is for them to sit down with me and my representatives and have a conversation. I think over the years, all of the things that I have done for Bravo to help elevate them, I think it is unfair and to demote me and elevate my white counterparts and demote me as a Black woman who helped elevate this network and elevate a franchise and elevate other shows. But because before I stepped onto the scene of Real Housewives of Atlanta, I helped elevate the entire franchise.
The interesting thing is corporate America at that time starting to realize, we can monetize Black culture. Mm-hmm. So our music really took off, you know what I'm saying, and our fashion. And then there was TV shows. Our shows were used, in my opinion, because sitcoms we didn't really have reality TV back then. So sitcoms were the least expensive to produce content, to put on the air, to open up new channels.
I hear that all the time.
Our product was used to launch UPN and CW and even Fox. And then I was at South Central at the time when South Central was on at Fox, and then once soon as they got football, we lost South Central. We lost even Living Color started to tape. That it was no longer, we weren't needed. I mean, even with when the CW came, as soon as we we hold the audience, then here comes 90210 and they get all the money, the marketing, and we get nothing. But we were holding it down with for Girlfriends in the Game, there was no marketing budget.
That's
Yikes.
crazy.
Cheryl Underwood and Gabrielle Union recently shared their experiences in Hollywood as Black women.
On March 10th, the world witnessed a very emotionally charged conversation between you and Sharon. I saw a composed, clear, confident woman, but what we didn't see what was going on inside. Can you share a little bit about what that experience was like for you?
Well, I didn't want to escalate things with Sharon because I thought I was having a conversation with a friend, but also I knew I had to be an example for others to follow because I didn't want to be perceived as the angry Black woman, and that really scared me. I didn't want to be that, and I wanted to remain calm and remain focused. And it's difficult to go back to that day because I just feel the trauma. I feel fearful, a little apprehensive.
With AGT, trying to work within a system of, I thought it was the easiest show. How hard is it to, juggle, watch jugglers? That's what I thought I signed up for. Day one, Simon Cowell is smoking cigarettes inside. I've worked a long time. I've worked with all kinds of people. I've never experienced that. So when your boss, the person who has the ability to determine who gets opportunities and who doesn't believe that the law applies to him or the rules apply to him, and he does it in full view of NBC and Fremantle and Psycho, and no one cares about Simon Cowell, exposing all of these employees to secondhand smoke. That's day one. That's within the first hour. What message do you think that sends to anyone that has an issue with the very real racism and the lack of accountability? And it goes on and on and on. I decided to participate in this investigation that they were like, we're going to commission this independent investigation. Well, silly me. I thought independent was like independent. But when NBC and Fremantle and Psycho pay for that investigation, they control it. So throughout that investigation that I participated in, I talked about, being in there for 5.5 hours. And my goal is change. I'm about labor, treating employees fairly. Nobody's asking for anything special. Nobody's asking for somebody to separate their Skittles or their, M&Ms or whatever. Just treat people fairly. Have mechanisms in place for when things happen, there are consequences. And participated in this investigation, and the investigation was ongoing. They turn over what they believe to be inflammatory things or things that are not advantageous to me over to the head of NBC, Paul Teleghi, who then uses those things that he thinks are smoking guns to shoot down my claims. He then threatens my agent. Gabrielle better watch who she calls a racist in the middle of an investigation about racism and discrimination. This is what's happening from the top of the company. So as we're all wanting to be part of the solution, as we're all wanting change, we have to hold the people at the very top accountable.
These are all women that we know or that we've seen on television. Imagine the women who do not have a voice, or women who are afraid to speak up because they might get fired from their job, or Black women who are simply just tired of fighting the system. I'm Janice Boyd, and I know the effects and trauma of systemic racism. It's time for us to stand up and protect Black women.
The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman.